Welcome back to another episode of Polar Bears in Flip Flops. I'm your co-host Andrew Lewin with my co-host Angelo Villagomez. We before we get started, just to let you know, we are bringing a new channel into the mix. So we are taking Polar Bears and Flip Flops and we're putting it on a brand new channel called Polar Bears and Flip Flops. We're doing this because I'm revamping everything over at Speak Up for Blue TV. And so all our live stuff is going to go over there. I'm starting to migrate it over. We tried to go live on that channel, but it wouldn't let us because I think it's too new. So we have to go through a verification process, which I didn't know. Things you learn.
And that's the reason why we're 30 minutes late starting this episode.
Exactly. Apologies. Normally
catch
Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern.
And we're going to make it even more complicated because next week we're doing it Wednesday.
Yes.
And hopefully there'll be no technical difficulties that we can go straight into.
No, we'll be ready to go. I'll even test it out just to make sure so that we are ready to go. All right, but we got a great episode for you today. First, we are going to talk a little bit about. Should we talk a little bit about Super Bowl first, or do you want to go right into the Seamounts first?
Well, we've been talking football. We've been predicting winners, and I would say in the semifinals, and in the quarterfinals, I think I did a pretty good job.
You did.
I did not do a good job with the Super Bowl, however, and I admit, like, I was not picking my team based on rationality or the talent of the two teams, and I was picking it based on geography. And I lost. I did see a funny thing though. Did you see the Super Bowl halftime show?
I did. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
So everyone's talking about it. I thought it was one of the best halftime shows I've ever seen. Wasn't really like I didn't know any of the songs, I admit, and I didn't really know any of the Kendrick Lamar songs either. But I enjoyed this one more than I enjoyed Kendrick Lamar. But it was. But the thing, there was a football during the halftime show, and Bad Bunny carried this football across the field as he did his singing and dancing. And somebody did an analysis, and Bad Bunny had more rushing yards than the Patriots did. That's how terrible the Patriots were in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they were pretty bad.
No, it was just like it was the to be fair, they scored the same number of touchdowns. It's just that the Seahawks scored 5 field goals in addition to those 2 touchdowns, which is, the team who scores the most points wins.
Yeah.
And they scored more, a lot more.
But I think a lot
5
of
field
that
goals
too,
worth more.
I think a lot of that too, when they scored their first touchdown, I think if I remember correctly, Seattle was at like 19 points at that point. They'd already scored a touchdown.
But who's counting, right?
Yeah, of course, yes.
It was
so
what
I'm saying is they got their touchdowns in garbage time. They got their touchdowns in garbage time, is what we call it.
Towards the end.
In the NFL. Towards the end.
It didn't matter.
Look, I hate to say it. It was something I predicted was going to happen. I don't like to see a lopsided final, like a Super Bowl like that. I like to see last few
overtime.
Right? Overtime or like so close, and they've been exciting. And for the crappy thing is about a Super Bowl that's lopsided, that normally people who watch the Super Bowl don't watch football. And so I enjoy a defensive game. The defense wins championships, and both of those teams had pretty good defenses. Seattle has a really good defense. And so I enjoyed it from that aspect. But for people who don't watch football on a regular basis, they're like, and even some who do, like, that was a boring game because it was so lopsided. I get it. Yeah. Unfortunately, I just think the NFC was a lot stronger than the AFC this year. And I think New England had a favorable schedule. Not to say they didn't have a hard schedule. They had a favorable schedule. They had some good luck in the playoffs, but inevitably, the better team won at that point. But hopefully we'll see New England in the future, because Drake May is a really good young quarterback. This is his second year, and he's already made the Super Bowl. That's pretty cool to be able to do that. And there's some great defensive guys on New England, and they're just getting started. This was like a bit of a rebuild for them, right? So they're just getting started.
Yeah, when I was 23, that was like my 6th year in college. So he's doing a little bit better than I was at that age. But you know what? The pitchers and the catchers reported to spring training today. So baseball season is on. The World Baseball Classic is going to start up in a couple of weeks for early March. And on to the next sport.
Well,
how goes your
I
fitness?
mean,
Oh wait, okay. We still got hot. There's this sport called hockey.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard about that. Did you hear what President Trump said about hockey?
Do I really want to? Do I want to hear it?
Yeah, you do. You, he's he. This was in relation to our countries have had some difficulties over the last
Yes.
basically since the moment he became president.
Yes.
And there were some tariffs, and I think that our courts just shot those tariffs down.
Well, the Congress, I believe, right?
Oh, the Congress. You're right. It was the Congress.
There was a
Yeah.
big vote. Congress to shut it down. Whether that will be vetoed is another thing. But
not that Canadians want to buy any American goods anymore. But you can sell us your maple syrup and all the other Canada Dry. Like what are the other great Canadian products that make their way down? Molson.
You got Crown Royal. We got
thank you.
Club.
Yeah. Oh, Crown Royal's a big
lot
one.
Of the rye. The Canadian whiskey. Yeah, we got lots of good products.
So those prices will be coming down hopefully, and we can purchase those again. But it was sort of in relation to that in China, and I think President Trump said that
right.
China was going to stop you from playing hockey.
That'll never happen. That'll never happen. That'll never happen. And speaking of which, like the big thing for hockey right now, the NHL is suspended while the Olympics are going on. The Canadians just beat Czechia. Is that how we pronounce it now? It used to be Czech Republic, I guess. It's now Czechia. We beat them 5-0 pretty handedly. So our team is ridiculously good. Yeah.
It's sort of like basketball for us. Like if the American basketball team does not win at the Olympics, it's more like you have way more to lose. And when the Canadians, you're gonna lose. Like
there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure. However, where we're at now with hockey and the countries that are in, like Czechia, Sweden, Finland, the U.S., there's no Russia this year, obviously, for obvious reasons. Those countries, even like Swiss, those countries have NHL players on them, and so the competition has gotten a lot better. And to be honest, it's probably the best hockey you are going to see. Apart they can't fight. The best hockey you are going to see, even more than the NHL. Like this is because like people are playing for their country. I think with basketball, it's getting there. The competition is getting there because a lot more people from out of country, out of the U.S. are coming to the NBA and playing with against people that are like U.S. players. So I think the competition's getting there, but it's still not at the level. But if Canada doesn't win gold, it's pretty devastating. Like there's a lot of pressure against that.
That's sad. Yeah, Thomas Friedman actually wrote about that 20 years ago. Thomas Friedman wrote about the improving basketball talent around the world 20 years ago in his book, The World is Flat. So the Canadian team is pretty good, huh?
They are ridiculously good.
Ridiculous.
Our men's Canadian team, our women's Canadian team is just is pretty good. Unfortunately, we lost 5-0 to the U.S. The U.S. looks very, very good this year. With women, it's usually between. With women, it's usually between the Americans and the Canadians. Like it goes back and forth. Sometimes years one of them is dominant, or they're both very equal, and it's a very good game to watch. But they got us. Robin.
Our women are good at soccer too, and basketball.
Yes.
The American women.
Our women are pretty good at soccer too. We won the Olympic gold not long ago. So unfortunately we got hosed in the
hockey is having a moment in America right now though because of the television show Heated Rivalry. Have you been watching this?
You know what? I haven't watched it yet. I asked somebody about it. I was like, is it a hockey show? Or is it just like a love story? Because if I watch it, I want to watch it for the hockey. Like I want to watch it for the story, but I want hockey to be a big part of it. I've been told that it's not that big of a part of it, so I don't know if I really want to watch it.
This conversation reminds me of a movie that I saw, about 15 years ago. It was this movie that came out, and I heard it was going to be about vampires. And like I love vampires. Like what great movies. This movie was Twilight. And I went to see Twilight with like my brothers and my stepfather, and I picked the movie. I was like, guys, it's a movie about vampires. It's gonna be awesome. We saw it, and I was like, oh, okay. and they're like, Angelo, you never get to pick the movie ever again. And then there was a sequel. I don't know if you know about this, but the sequel was vampires versus werewolves.
Yes.
That's what Twilight 2 is about. But it's
Yes.
not. It's not.
No.
It's about Edward and Jacob and which boy. And then, but I didn't make the mistake again. I did not. I eventually, because because of the woman I married, I eventually was on a couch eating potato chips, watching Twilight 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I have seen all
There's
of them.
There's a fifth one?
Well, they split. God, why are we even talking about this?
I don't know.
They split the last one.
Twilight very quickly.
Because Twilight heated rivalry.
Yeah,
hockey. Like that was the journey that we got.
Yeah.
No, they split the last one up into 2.
Okay. Oh,
like the Harry Potter movies and the what was the other?
Money.
The Hunger Games. They also split the last one up into 2.
Yes, they did.
They want more.
Look, I probably will see it eventually. If it's not about hockey and they're saying it's a hockey movie and it's more of a love story, I don't watch love stories in general. So it's just I probably won't watch it. But it's the talk of the country and the talk of it seems like the globes and everything.
I'm sad to hear that you don't love love stories. You found love. You don't need it on your television.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get like I don't know. I'm on a very I find a lot of these love stories kind of repetitive in story. I'm on a kick of trying to find new shows that are original. I'm big into the Apple TV shows Severance, Thinking, Ted Lasso, obviously. There's another one called Bad Monkey, and then Slow Horses. I love those. Those are really cool. Yeah.
I hear you with the stories are all the same. My wife watches a lot of Filipino romantic comedies. And there's only one storyline. It's my man has a girlfriend. And sometimes they switch it up. Like sometimes it's it's my husband has a girlfriend. Sometimes it's my boyfriend has a girlfriend.
Right.
And then and there's even way more complicated ones, especially for the TV shows. But that's the crux. It's always a love triangle.
Yeah, the love triangles. Yeah,
and I've seen them all. I sit there and I enjoy it as much as I possibly can. Some of them are pretty good. Like some of the films, the Filipino movies, are about the overseas workers and just the lives that they're going through, and it's super interesting.
Yeah. I guess I don't know. I do watch a lot of TV. And it's just you go with what the original thing is. I think my wife and kids will probably watch it at some point because it is a love story. They like those kind of things. So, but hockey is big. Hockey is big. I can't wait.
Hockey's big. And this is a podcast about the ocean, right?
This is a podcast about the ocean. Yeah.
Not Twilight and hockey.
Let's get into the ocean. We'll do our fitness update after.
Okay, sounds good.
Let's get into the ocean. You wanted to talk about some changes that's happened to the Northeast Canadian Seamounts Marine National Monument. Some more bad news coming out of the U.S. Not fun.
Yeah, and we talked about something similar on your other podcast. So this is the United States has 5 marine national monuments, 4 in the Pacific and 1 is in New England. And on Friday afternoon, the Friday of the Super Bowl, after everybody had gone home for the end of the day, the Trump administration announced that they were opening up this protected area, and it's about 5,000 square miles. I can't do. Let me see if I can. I think that's about 15,000 square kilometers. So it's not huge. I mean, huge. No. I don't own that much property. But the U.S. exclusive economic zone off the East Coast is about 1 million square kilometers, and that's about 300-ish, 330 square miles, 1,000 square miles. So we're talking less than 1% of the East Coast. It's big, but it's not 40% of fishing was not shut down. This was not
right.
This was not 30% of the ocean. It was a postage stamp, a large postage stamp out on the edge of the EEZ. And it's this is a joke that Andrew Thaler says, is we wish it was unprecedented, except one president has done this before. President Trump. During
Yeah, he did this last time. He did this
he
last
did
time.
this last time, yeah. So it
Yeah.
kind of like this was one of those. This is to quote Donald Rumsfeld. This was one of those known knowns. Like we knew it was coming.
Yeah.
We just didn't know when it was coming. But this is a protected area that was protected by Obama 10 years ago,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then during Trump's first administration, he opened it to fishing, and then Biden came in, he closed it to fishing, and now we're a year into Trump 2, and he just and we're going to talk about the specifics a little bit, I think, but
Mm-hmm.
he signed a proclamation that will eventually lead to it being open to fishing. They hope. Other folks hope not.
Right.
Um, but it's through these executive decrees, and the United States is in this weird place right now where, we used to pass laws with the Congress,
Mm-hmm.
and the Congress would pass laws, and the president
Yeah.
would implement them.
Yeah.
But the United States, honestly, starting with Obama, started doing a lot of these executive orders because they couldn't get the Congress to do stuff. So there is stuff that you can do as the executive. And Obama published a fraction of what Trump is doing, and it's just like every other day. It's like, did you see that? What was that Harry Potter movie where they got a new headmaster and she would like post new rules up on the wall?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That was
Uh,
like near the end. It was like the part one of part
Number
two. She
five,
was like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's kind of like what Trump is. It's
The
like every other
Karen of,
day he's
I call her
hammering,
the Karen of Harry Potter.
yeah, the Karen of Harry Potter, um, hammering up these new rules. And this is disappointing, right? Because there aren't that many. What are we looking at? Hold on,
Sorry, wrong one.
the wrong one.
Wrong. Those are my
Um,
notes.
the United States has very limited protected areas on the east and west coast. 99% of our protected areas are out in the Pacific, and this was, it was kind of a big deal. Um,
Yeah. I just put
we
up
I
the this is
was
the seamount. This is the area that it
yeah,
encapsulates, right? So you have three
yep, and
canyons, and then you
yep,
have one, two, three, four seamounts,
seamounts.
and with looks like a possibility of extending it eventually to maybe two more seamounts in those areas. I don't
Well,
know.
that's outside the EEZ. So if you look at the inset
Oh,
map,
okay.
it shows you like it's showing there's
That's
Massachusetts
easy.
and
Okay.
Cape Cod, and so it's on the very edge of the exclusive
Yeah.
economic zone. So this wasn't like Uncle Joe going out in his boat catching a couple
Right.
of red
Yeah.
snappers or whatever, or they're probably catching what are they, sea bass, probably what they're looking for, like your
There's the
recreational
black striped
fishermen.
sea bass up there, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah.
these are the boats that are fishing here are like the boats that go far out to sea. Hundreds
Yeah.
of miles. Takes a while to get this far away from land. So, industrial vessels.
Yeah, and it's it's an area also with there's a lot of crab and lobster fishing there too, right?
Mhm. Yeah, they're
Along these
dropping
mounts.
traps. There's and I think there's um some long lines, and they're fishing
Mm-hmm.
for things like tuna and
Mm-hmm.
swordfish, a lot of swordfish.
Yeah.
And then like, yeah, the trap fishermen.
Yeah. So
The
there's a lot
lobster
of
may be further north.
Oh, really? Do you think so? Yeah, I
I think
guess it's up
most
out
of
in
the
El
lobster is
Paso.
further north.
But
Yeah,
that's George's
especially with
Bank though.
climate
Is that
change.
still part of George's Bank?
I
Yeah,
am
you
not
might
an
be right.
expert on the fishing this part of the
Yeah.
country.
I'm just looking here. It looks like George's Bank. But you're right. It's probably a little south from there. But obviously, seamounts are a big biodiversity spot. All the like it's a huge biodiversity spot. It's
Oh
something
yeah,
that's
like
very,
the
very important.
you go to the New England Aquarium and they've got a lot of the animals that live in this part of the ocean. For cold water, it's a highly biodiverse place, and I
Yeah.
think because it's so far offshore, this is a relatively healthy place.
Mm-hmm.
But my understanding, and I may be wrong, is that it's not actually opened up to fishing yet. And part of that is because these executive orders aren't law, right? They're memos. And this area is also protected by some regulations. And so before it can be open to fishing, they actually have to go through some regulatory processes. So I may be wrong, but I don't think it's actually opened to fishing yet. This is like, you remember like 15 years ago, some countries would announce that they were going to be fish that they were going to create an MPA, and then would go all around the world and say that they had this big MPA, even when fishing was taking place.
Mm-hmm.
And some scientists came up with the MPA guide, and the MPA guide creates a shared language around, what does it mean to be protected? What are the different
Yeah.
levels of protection? When does something become protected? Is it proposed, or is it designated? Did it get to implemented? Is it actively managed? And kind of had an epiphany today, um, that with these rollbacks, we kind of need we need a shared language around these reverse MPAs, right? What's our shared language around these degazettements?
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing some of these around the world, like Kiribati rolled back their big protected area. I know there's another island in the Pacific that is considering rolling back their big protected area. But like, is it so like this area to use the MPA guide language? This is very nerdy scientist stuff. Like this is at the moment, it's got a management plan. The management plan has been in place for several years, so it's somewhere between implemented and actively managed, and it's highly protected.
Yeah.
But now that the Trump administration has announced that their intent to roll back the protections, uh, is it a proposed degazettement? Uh, and what they're actually doing is this one. They're not changing the borders, and they're not erasing it. They're changing the regulations within the protected area.
Yeah.
And this isn't part of the proclamation. What they're doing is a little bit nefarious. The administration is saying that all of these other laws that exist, the one of the laws that they cite is the National Marine Sanctuary Act. Well, there is no sanctuary here, right? They're claiming that
Right.
this law will protect it. It's like, no, the National Marine Sanctuary Act does not protect this area.
It's a
But we've
monument.
also got the Endangered Species Act. Um, but the main one that they're pointing at is the Magnuson-Stevens law, and that's
Mm-hmm.
the American law around fishing.
Yeah. It's
And
there's
they're kind of
Fisheries
saying
Act.
that
Yeah.
they're saying sustainable fishing is enough,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just not the case. Like there is and I actually think conservation folks like you and me, that we've not done a good job in describing the difference between an area that is sustainably fished and an area that is managed as wildlife.
Yeah.
Like we
Well, I
understand
mean,
that on land, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
I
go
think
ahead.
if you think about what this has done effectively, it's a marine monument. You can't, it goes from you can't fish in it, then you can fish in it, then you can't fish in it, and then
Yeah, it's like a
eventually you'll be
yo-yo.
able. Yeah, it's like a yo-yo. It's essentially made this monument ineffective as a monument,
Yeah.
as a protected area, right? Even though it may not truly be a protected area, we can talk about the specifics in a second, but when the basic idea, especially when you're trying to protect it for fisheries, is you don't fish in there. You allow the species that were being fished to recover, hopefully, to a certain degree where you'll have a spillover effect. So they get the abundance, they get the biomass size, so the size and the number of individuals of that fishery, they grow, and they get to a certain point where they're like, we all can't stay here and survive, so we have to move outside the boundaries of this area. Of course, they don't see the boundaries. They just move based on their ecology, and then the fishers can fish outside, and then they will get it. It takes some time for that to happen, but if you continue to close it off to fishing, you will see the effects that we've seen that in a number of places where there's been marine protected areas. And of course, it has to be enforced, and there's a lot of things that go into it. Each place is unique. However, if you don't let it happen, the diversity goes down, the fisheries go down, the numbers go down, and you keep yo-yoing the regulation, or this what do you call it, the executive order. You're just making this ineffective, and it just becomes a
Yeah.
game now. It's who's going to be in there to just take it off, and who's going to be in there to take it on. And what you're going to have are the people who want to take away the monument or take away the regulations are going to support one side of the political spectrum, and then the others that want to keep it are going to support the other side. And then when those get empowered, and we've seen a very big switch off every 4 years or every 8 years, this thing's not going to be effective as a monument, as a protected area. It's just not, and it's just a shame. It's like at one point you're just like, you got to ask yourself, is this really worthwhile? And then you're looking at the way it was designated is not strong enough to keep those regulations. And Angela, we've talked about this before on the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. Can you just sort of explain for the people here at Polar Bears and
Yeah,
Flip
I think
Flops what that means?
so the word that's not happening here is durability.
Right.
It's and there's a lot of work that shows that, as you just described, these benefits accrue over time and they accumulate. And it can take some time. It can take many
Mm-hmm.
years, especially for the slow growing species.
Mm-hmm.
It can take many years for them to benefit for this. And if you close it for a while, you open it back up to fishing, and you close it for a while, and you open it up back up to fishing. You're just not going to accrue those benefits, or we're hitting the reset button um, every time it reopens. And those are just the biological uh, the biological outcomes. There's also the social outcomes, and in New England, fishing is just as important to the culture as on a Pacific island, right? It's
Yeah.
these fishermen are very influential. It's a big part of the identity. It's a big part of the culture. So the fishermen are very influential. Uh, and I just think this back and forth, it creates conflict in the community, right? Which makes its way into the elections, and
Yeah.
uh, people have very strong opinions. Um, and if you're constantly trying to change this thing and go back and forth, it's just very chaotic for the people who are working on it, people who live there. Um, and it's unfortunate, and if you can answer this, you get to be the conservation leader in this part of the country. But how do we make these big decisions, and how do we make them more durable, so that they last? And clearly, the conservation movement has not convinced our fisheries colleagues that 30 by 30 is a benefit to them.
Mm-hmm.
And we will say, oh, we have this science, look. But I think writ large around the world, a lot of, not all, but a lot of fishery scientists are not bought into the benefits of marine protected areas to fisheries. And I think actually, in fact, a lot of fishermen and a lot of fisheries scientists would say
Mm-hmm.
the opposite, that the
Yeah.
protected areas are actually harmful to them. And clearly I disagree.
Yeah.
I that there are many places around the world that I could point to where MPAs are benefiting communities, they are benefiting nature, they are benefiting people, they are benefiting fishermen. But just like writ large in the conservation world, we've not convinced them, and part of that is we just live in two separate worlds. We use two separate sets of scientific papers to do our work. We have very, very different uh, values and goals, and uh, you know, how do we change that? Like that's a big question.
What are the arguments that fishery scientists use to say that MPAs are acting in the opposite direction of
Um,
protecting fisheries?
this is, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but this is kind of like how I think about it. So if you were a fishery scientist, your goal is sustainable fishing, and your goal is to put food on someone's plate, make sure fishermen have jobs. And to do that, you use science and you have tools. And so some of the tools that you have are gear restrictions, size restrictions, maybe species restrictions if something is particularly endangered. Um, you If there's a particular time of year, maybe you have a time area closure, like during
Mm-hmm.
spawning. Maybe you avoid certain areas at certain times of the year. But when everything has gone wrong, and New England has experience with this, when everything goes wrong, only then do you implement a total fisheries closure. In
Mm-hmm.
New England, it's the cod. Like the cod, just
Yeah.
they fished it
Yeah.
out and it never came back.
Same with
Um,
up
and
north.
um, and in that perspective, a fisheries closure is the absolute failure of everything that they have ever learned to do. And what do we call that? We call that a marine protected area. And we consider, and from our perspective, we're looking to create big old fat fish who live for a long time and have lots of babies, and live for, make lots and lots of babies for a really long time. and we've got so much science that backs us up. And we see this as like not we see this as like the ultimate success of like
Mm-hmm.
we are creating the best places in the world. And and again, like this is not everybody, but not all ecologists think like this, and not all fishery scientists like this. But I think that's like just like the crux of the it's a clash of values and a clash of ethics of like what is the ocean for, what is failure and what is success. And our the science that we fund and the science that we do just evolves around what our goals are.
Yeah. So when it comes to the resiliency of this or durability of this monument, it looks like the only way it can is if Congress actually makes this a protected area. Would that still mean it's a monument, or would that put it as a sanctuary under the laws that they have in the U.S.?
Yeah, this is like the we have the U.S. has a number of different categories of protected area. We have national parks, we have national wildlife refuges, and the use of the Antiquities Act, these monuments on the ocean, is relatively new. It's been used in the past. Like there's a Buck Island Marine National Monument in the Virgin Islands that protects some coral
Mm-hmm.
reefs, but like it's really small. Like it's measured in acres, and this one is
Right.
not square miles.
Right.
Um, and the Sanctuaries Act, the National Marine Sanctuary Act, was written in the 60s when most of the United States' big environmental laws were passed. And it was really meant to address deep sea, like oil drilling and gas exploration, because there were some oil spills in California in the 1960s. And this idea that we would limit fish catch is pretty new in the United, like
Right.
25 years old in the United
Yeah.
States. So we actually don't really have the governance or the laws to do the sorts of things that at the federal level that a lot, the science that the 30 by 30 scientists want to do. So we can have a monument, and it's going to be not very durable, but we can get really strong protections. It can be really big, or we can do a sanctuary, which is probably going to be smaller, but there's going to be a lot of compromise. It's probably not going to address fishing, but you can probably address mining, drilling, and maybe
Mm.
some pollution. So we don't really have a law where you get to do all of that,
Right.
and that's a shortcoming. And to create a new law in the United States um, under the current political conditions is near impossible.
Interesting. Yeah. I
So
mean,
inspiring, isn't it?
it's well, we're definitely in a like we've talked about this in past episodes. We're definitely in a frustrating time, especially in the U.S., for passing laws that are environmentally friendly, or even keeping laws in place, or monuments in place, or sanctuary rules in place, without having to go to court to justify it, right? To say, hey, we need to keep this in place. And I think it's just, you hope that you can hold on for the next 4 years and hope that the damage is minimal. Conservation 3 years, I guess. Yeah, 3 years. Hopefully only 3 years. And hopefully the midterms will be a little bit better to be able to block some of the things that have been happening from an environmental perspective at the very least, and of course other things. But um, I think it's sad to see, because the U.S. has had a very good rapport in leading as a country in environment and within its own exclusive economic zone, like sanctuaries and monuments. But I feel as though there's this pattern that we've seen ever since, and maybe it's just because I've paid attention only since then, but ever since the second Bush era, where at the end of their 8-year term, or their second 4-year term, and same with Obama and same with Biden, they will add on an environmental protection or create an environmental protection. I think Bush Jr., or whatever you call him, George Bush, put it to
W.
uh, W. Bush. Yeah, W. Bush put it
Oh yeah.
to, like, started a sanctuary. Obama added on to it, and then I think Biden did another one. And so it seems like that's a pattern, but they're done by executive order. So how strong are these in the long run when you're starting to look at this and you're like, oh crap, like
Yeah,
how do we
well,
stop this pattern from happening to make them more durable, as you mentioned?
so part of that is, and you're Canadian, so you only started paying attention when you were in your 20s. But
Yes.
the designation of monuments at the end of a presidency is actually super common.
Okay.
And it's because, you're a president for 8 years and you start thinking about that legacy of like, what
Yeah.
am I going to be remembered for? And land conservation is, core to the American identity. Like, you think about
Right.
Americans look out west, and that individualism, that rough,
Yep.
rugged,
Yep.
I am a man who can do things. I live in a log cabin. Like, that is connected to our public lands and our protected areas, and that's where we get that from. So presidents have, for 100 years, have done this, and uh, the idea that you would overturn these things, no one really ever considered it until this guy. And I shared with you a memo, a Justice Department memo. Maybe you could pull that up and share it with the listeners.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is a memo that the Justice Department drafted, and you read this and it's incredible. It talks about the Antiquities Act, and how it gives a president the ability to create these monuments, and they want to abolish a previous, um, it's called a opinion. It's an attorney general opinion, and it was the proposed abolishment of Castle Pinckney National Monument. It was an opinion of the attorney general from 1938. So for 90 years, this is the opinion of this is what guided the United States. But the Trump administration said, no, we're gonna write our own memo, and we're gonna say that they were wrong in 1938, and the United States has been acting incorrectly for 90 years. And in fact, who knew? In fact, we do have the ability to do whatever the hell that we want.
Yeah.
We're the when you're a kid, you assume that like these laws and these ideas are written in stone and that they're the same. But the fact of the matter is, there's always this push and pull, and like what is legal and what is not illegal and what is the law. And that's why we have the courts.
Yeah.
And so, good on Trump for claiming that they can do this. But the place where this will ultimately end up is the Supreme Court, because there's a whole bunch. And I don't want to, but these are all of the people that I work with in other organizations and other coalitions. But the American people, this is so unpopular. They did it on a Friday night, so that they wouldn't get a big response, and they know that they're going to get sued by a whole bunch of people. Um, the scary thing right now is that the American Supreme Court isn't very conducive to, like, so we say, progressive ideas.
Right.
Um, so we'll see.
We'll
This
see.
is
I
kind
mean,
of
look, there's been some things that have been struck down in the past year already in the courts. A number of things, even in the Supreme Court. So it'll be interesting to see how this changes. Now, with an opinion like this to go in front of the courts, does this go in front of the courts, or does the president just
but
declare this?
this will be the argument that the Trump lawyers use. They'll
Okay,
say,
this is
"Oh,
for the
like,
courts.
yeah, okay, so you did it for 90 years, but
Yeah,
we're really smart, and we wrote ourselves a new memo, and this is what is guiding us."
gotcha.
But and then our partners will have counter arguments, and hopefully our arguments will be better than these arguments.
Right. So it still has to go.
But
So nothing's happened yet, but this still has to go to court.
well, I mean, yeah, yeah, it will. There were also court cases last time, but the courts move a lot slower. And Trump
Got bored.
he lost that reelection, got booted, and so
Right.
Biden came back in, and so
He just
the
said, "Forget it."
process starts over again. But
Gotcha.
this is to your question of like durability, is the thing that we thought was protecting us was just these norms,
Yeah.
and the we're just that's all been thrown out the window.
Yeah. Fun times, man. Fun
Yeah, fun
times.
times. But it's these are interesting issues.
Yeah.
the United States, like the foundation of our many of our national parks were these monuments, and we've got a whole bunch of land monuments out there.
Yeah.
And you once the dam breaks, you got to stop it now. So they overturned the one out in the Pacific Islands Heritage, and our partners, Earth Justice, sued
Yep.
them, and won the first round, which is great. So that is being decided in court. This one is just getting started. I guarantee you there will be lawsuits.
Yeah.
But there are other monuments out there that are under
Mm-hmm.
threat.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to stop it here. And I think these
Agreed.
things are unpopular. Americans like their public lands. A
Yes.
lot of it's they hunt on them. They camp
Yeah.
there. They recreate. And it's a big part of who we are as a country. So, don't give up on us yet. we
Not giving up.
we
It's
still,
it's I mean,
yeah, yeah,
there are a lot of people fighting. There are a lot of people fighting against a lot of these environmental changes or proposed changes. And the good thing is government does move slow. And so hopefully that will continue until the next, for another at least 3 years. And then we can change them back if the right people get in, or the people who are a little bit more in tune to the environment get in. I don't care
yeah,
what party, but they've got to be in tune to the environment, and that's important for us, and that's important for our planet, because we just continue to pillage the environment, the ocean, and then there's not going to be anything left, and we need to protect that. And I think I like what you said earlier, Angelo, where you just said is like, if we don't stop it now, you don't stop that little hole in the dam, that dam just breaks, and then it just
yeah,
floods the gates for a lot of other things that I know Americans don't want to happen, where you start to see some land monuments get overturned and pillaged for its natural resources if need be. And we know this government would like to do that as much as possible. So
yep,
so yeah, that's it for the discussion. Do you have anything else you want to add?
yeah. It's a good place to end. Other than, you want to give your fitness update, or I'll go first this time.
You go first.
I had a great workout last night. I
Nice.
did 56 minutes of cardio, and I pushed it, and I feel like I that was last night was 6 weeks, because this is our seventh episode.
Nice.
So I've done
Yeah.
six solid weeks of cardio. And like the best
How
thing
you
that I can
feeling?
report on, is actually this. An hour of exercise a day has given me the best sleep of my life.
Nice. When do you do it? Do
Which
you do it in
I
the morning or in the after or in the evening?
I prefer to. I'm going to do it after this. I prefer to do it in the evening.
Okay.
I don't, and some of that is like when I was in high school, like sports were in the afternoon,
Yeah.
and like I always, and then I just don't like getting up early. I've never
Gotcha.
been an early riser.
No, I hear you. I
So
hear you.
like I just I like doing it after work.
Yeah.
And but like, man, I read at night, and so I'll read a chapter or two, put
And
the
then you're
book
done.
down, close my eyes, and I'm out, and
Right.
like sleep through the night. Uh, and I don't always sleep through the night like before. So like
Yeah.
it feels great
That's
to be doing
awesome.
that. Like I'm an old man saying like, oh, I sleep really well. And
It's the
I
key,
never,
man. I think we're both at that same age where it's like, oh yeah, I got full night, like full 7-8 hours sleep, like unbelievable,
yeah,
without waking up. And when I was young, I'd be like, man, what's wrong with these people? Why are they waking up? I sleep through,
yeah.
like I was sleeping on ships that,
I
were
sleep
making like
two
crazy
hours,
noise and stuff. Yeah, and I can sleep whenever I want. Like I can sleep,
drink for
go
six
to bed
hours, sleep for
hammered, wake up,
three.
and I'm not even
Yeah,
hungover.
yeah, ready to
Like
go.
I look at a beer and I'm hungover already. I haven't even drank it or anything. But no, that's great. So are you doing 7 days a week, or are you doing 5 days a week?
Just 7 days a week. Like
Good for
I
you.
am of the opinion that you can exercise every day.
Yeah.
And my softball season starts in
Oh,
April.
man, you're gonna
Not
be
that
ready.
softball is a cardio sport.
No,
But like
it's a
I'll
sprint
be doing
sport.
that. I'll do that like 2 or 3 times a week. And
Nice.
I probably won't do cardio those days.
Well, that makes sense. But I'll tell you, when we get to our age, right? when you do those things and you're not working out or you're not doing anything and you try and sprint to first base because you just made a nice hit, you're more likely to tear like a hamstring or something in your knee if you do that. So you're probably making yourself better for that. My fitness, I saw some positivity. So last week I was sick. I was still sick on Monday, like getting over it. But I started, so this is what I've been doing. So I'm a big believer in you build habits, small habits to reach your goal. And so I have a treadmill downstairs. And so I've been trying to like get there and trying to do work and trying to get to bed on time and stuff like that. So what I've done is I built myself an app on my phone that tracks habits. And so I've put all the habits that I want, stretching goals like this. And I just tap it if I've done it or not. And I've realized I'm addicted to tapping stuff that I've done or haven't done, you know? And so I started on Tuesday to go on the treadmill and walk for 45 minutes on an incline. And I did that. And I didn't get to do it yesterday because I was coaching a hockey game late night. But and I started eating properly too. So I started eating properly, started doing a little exercise. I'm down like 5 pounds in a week, less than a week. So it's just, and I'm like, that has ignited me. Like, I'm going to go tonight and I'm going to do another 45 minutes on the treadmill. I do it while watching TV. It's really easy. I don't have to worry about running because I have bad knees and everything like that. I'm obviously in being heavier. It's not going to work very well. And so, yeah, I'm going to just continue to do that for a while and see how it goes. And getting back to the gym probably next week, 3 or 4 days. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm traveling next week, so we'll see how the fitness plan does when I'm jet lagged. But I've also been watching a bunch of fitness videos and like comparing like what's the best. And you'd be shocked, but the best fat burn is from walking your dog. It's get your heart rate up a little bit.
Yep.
Like I'll be honest, you probably burned off 5 pounds of glycogen, and it's going to come back as soon as you drink some water.
As soon as I drink, hasn't come back. But I know, like, if as soon as I have like some sweets or I have a beer or I have something, and this weekend is hockey tournament weekend, which usually means eating out and doing all that kind of stuff. But look, it's 1 week. I'm not expecting to lose it all and stay off and be in shape after 1 week or after 1 day of doing exercise. The goal here is to continue and build these habits so that like I'm just doing like what you do and be able to get this stuff done. Yeah.
I didn't really lose any weight the first month, but like I could look, like I looked at my leg. I'm like, oh, it looks a little bit more muscular.
Nice.
But still hadn't really lost weight. So it's not always it's not always the weight loss. Sometimes
it's just how you
the
feel.
way you feel.
Absolutely, it's how you feel. And what I've noticed for me, I did CrossFit for like 15 years straight, like where I was doing like 4 days a week.
I remember you were buff, you were a stud.
I was looking good, but I didn't start losing weight until I started eating better. Right. I was at a point where I'm like, I could eat and work out and I can stay like the weight I want and it changed the way I looked, but I didn't really lose. And you could argue there was what muscle weighs more, all that kind of stuff. But now I'm at a point where I don't care about losing weight necessarily. I just care about, like you said, feeling good, getting back into shape. If I have to shovel again this winter, I don't want to be huffing and puffing too much after and for like an hour after. I just want to feel good, be like, yeah, I just did a little bit of exercise and it was a lot of fun. So that's
man, the food gets me. There's a sandwich shop right down the street from my house, and they make Philly cheesesteaks, but they also make waffle fries, and they do these. So it's kind of like nachos, but they do waffle fries. Yeah. And then you take all of the ingredients from your Philly cheesesteak. So it's like steak and the mushrooms and the jalapenos and the onions, and they just put that on top of the French fries, and it's like this big. And I ate one of them this year because I saw it. I was like, oh, I want to eat that. But I brought it home. Yeah, I brought it home and I ate it like in one sitting. I was like, oh, I can't eat this every day. But I think about it a lot. It's just right. It's right down the street.
So close. So close.
And one of these days, I'm gonna go get another one because it's so freaking good.
Is it expensive?
everything's expensive.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Look, hey, you got to reward yourself. You're doing the exercise. You got to reward yourself every once in a while. You can't just keep being in a calorie deficit all the time, right? You gotta have fun in life. And next week we're going to talk about your prep for Ocean Science meeting when you're going to go to Glasgow.
We're going to do it on Wednesday.
We're going to do it on Wednesday at 5 p.m. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait.
For the one person who's watching channel right now.
There were 3 total. 3, which is pretty good. Yeah. I'm one of them. Well, one of the 4, but there was 4 at one point. Okay. But look, this is great. This is awesome that we have people watching. So go to our new channel and subscribe. It's Polar Bears in Flip Flops. So Polar Bears in Flip Flops. If you go to the link, I'll put the link in this one so people can go. But thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. We'll talk to you next time. From Angela and I, have a great one and happy conservation.